Nobody prepares you for what you go through after college. The first few weeks after you're done, you go through what's called postgraduate depression. It comes from the pressure of having graduated and not having a job. Being unemployed after spending all your time and money. I studied animation after a few months of applying to every studio you could imagine. With no answer, I was starting to get really worried. Patience is not one of the virtues that you have when you're 19. So, in 2011, I got myself out of the unemployment wagon by directing a feature animated film for Amazon Studios. Here's the story. So I'm surfing through the internet and I see this article on Amazon Studios. Now, this is 2011, so you need to understand that Amazon Film and Studios go together as well as if I were to say today, Walmart Studios. The article read something like, Amazon is building this film studio, blah blah blah, we're looking for new talent. So, me looking for a job, I click in, and I'm greeted with a different kind of page, something that I'm really not used to. This page isn't a recruiting page, but actually a contest. The premise was simple. Write a script, upload it to the Amazon Studio website where anyone can read it and give you feedback on it. And once a month, a panel of judges is gonna come in and pick the best scripts. The chosen one get a cash prize and up to 5% of royalties if Amazon decides to make the film. Animators and directors do what was called a test film, which is Amazon Studios lingo for proof of concept film. And they were really good prizes. The script writing prize went all the way up to $100,000. Voice acting, $10,000, and the test film, well, the end of the year competition for the best test film had a $1 million prize. The test films were a combination of animation, sometimes made with live action. It really was anything you could get your hands on. And the quality was mixed, but the point of these test films wasn't who could make the film with the best production value. It really was who can tell the best story and pitch this so that it gets greenlit. I don't know if today, with everyone being an influencer and a YouTuber and a content creator, the idea of a competition where you make films, feature-length films, and upload it to the internet so someone can judge it, it's less weird. But let me tell you something. In 2011, making a film like this was crazy. These films are a weird time capsule. Me being unemployed, the idea of creating a film for Uncle Amazon, in the hopes of making perhaps $1 million, seemed like a good investment of my time. The only issue was that it was September and the end of the year competition was only a month and a half away, or rather, the due date for delivery. Most people had been working on their films the entire year, uploading it to the platform and refining it. So if I wanted to get in this, I was really behind. Still, there are very few things as stubborn as a 19-year-old, especially a 19-year-old me. So, with no previous experience, and a deadline most people would run away from, I set out to make my 85-minute film. I created an account on the website, downloaded all the scripts that were on the test film category, and read through them. Most of them were tough reads. We had Sky Pirates, 12 Princesses, The Evolver. I guess that even at 19 I could tell that these were in the AAA Hollywood films of 2011. But somewhere in there though, there was a hidden gem. The Nevsky Prospect. A film written by Lindsay Nordgaard and Sean Berry. It was the only script in the group that got me hooked right away. Wanted to know what was going to happen on the edge of my seat. An interesting read in the middle of all this madness. The story is about a photojournalist named Melissa, a woman that has traveled through the world and seen a war or two. Melissa finds out her father is missing, and upon doing some digging, finds herself entangled with some really bad people in order to find him. Melissa in this film is incredibly out of her element, but extremely resourceful. I was drawn to this strong female character lead. She finds out a hacker that connects some points together, and they realize her father has been kidnapped. Listen, it's taken, but the daughter saves the father, and she doesn't fight as well as Liam Neeson. So, this film had all the elements, but still, with only a month and 2 weeks, it was gonna be a challenge. I had to direct, come up with the shot setups, editing, sound design, figure out something for the music, and of course, the storyboards. I really needed some help. So I recruited Ricardo, my best friend from school. The only person that I knew that drew better than I. and that was crazy enough to go with me on this journey. Thanks, mate. We agreed to, of course, split the prize money. We even drew a contract. In total, there were 42 days of production. The plan was to do 2 minutes a day of animation to hit that magical 85-minute mark. I can't stress this enough. The rules were really clear. It needed to be 85 minutes. I needed to keep adding sequences so that we would get to 85 minutes. And I didn't have time to record any dialogue, so a lot of these scenes were silent. And honestly, that helped the film a lot with pacing. Those silent scenes are one of my favorite ones because I had to show instead of tell what was happening. I had a lot of fun with those. The process was simple. I did some rough sketches, then pass it over to Ricardo, which would redraw them. Then that came back and I would replace them on the edit. I had a full timeline with the movie and just kept drawing and adding those sequences in and sound design. Even if you're doing rough sketches, coming up with the camera setups and the blocking and where that action is happening, it's no easy task. It requires a level of focus in the moment and comprehension of the story that's very mentally demanding. The speed at which we were moving turned out to be pretty spectacular for blocking a film. It had the side effect that I had no time to second guess my decision, so I needed to go with my gut instinct and use all the tricks I knew from film school. Don't get me wrong, we cut every single corner you could think of. We were drawing this stuff in Illustrator so I could cut parts of the drawing and paste it somewhere else, trace in images, just whatever we needed to do to get this point across. Still, I was stupid enough to try to keep everything in style. You see, I wanted to do this as an animated film for a more mature audience. That's always been a little bit of the north of the type of animation that I like. This idea of the thriller, story, action, the first few weeks passed and we were doing really good pace. But slowly, exhaustion started kicking in. It sounds weird to talk about exhaustion on a 1-month project, but we were really pushing it. In order for you to get 2 minutes of animation out in a day, you need to wake up early and go to sleep late. I think it's a good moment to talk a little bit more about the story. I'll try not to spoil anything. But the film is ultimately about human trafficking and someone being way out of their depth. Not an easy subject, not a happy subject. Melissa finds a group of people that are scary and a lot of things that happen are messed up. Being in that mindset also gets to you after a while. By the end of the first month, it was clear that we were behind. We only had around 40 minutes of animation. And all of a sudden, I realized that there were still a few more elements that I wanted to figure out. The competition had a poster and a trailer category. So I decided I would give those two a shot. I designed the poster and came up with this trailer sequence, just wrote down some narration for it, and decided to animate it in 3D. Was I thinking? I was behind on this stupid film, and then all of a sudden, I'm doing a trailer, a 3D animated trailer for this film that doesn't exist. What was the point of all of it? I was rendering this thing at night when I went to sleep, and looking at it now, 10 years later, is something that you can probably do in an afternoon or two in Blender. But back then in Maya, that shit was hard! And the part of my brain that thought that some Hollywood dude was gonna look at this trailer and go, this kid has talent. It just blows my mind the level of stupidity of that assumption. It shows a lack of knowledge of everything. Listen, part of the reason why I'm doing this video is to share a little bit of the learning curve and the things that, looking back, I can connect the dots and figure out. So, here's lesson number 1. Focus. There's so many things to do and you won't be able to do all of them, so you might as well stick to the ones that are really important. You need to really figure out the things that need to be perfect, the things that need to be good, and the things that need to be okay so they don't disturb the good and the perfect things. I should have outsourced the trailer and the poster. I had no time for it. It didn't add to the thing that I was making, and the film would have been better off without it. So, this is where the story gets a little bit sour. The amount of pressure that I was auto-imposing on myself by the end of week 4 wasn't good, neither physically nor mentally. There's a moment in every production where you're about 60% done with the project where it drastically drops in quality. It's the moment where you start putting all of the elements together and they're on different quality levels. Once you put everything together, it looks like crap on every single project I've worked on. The problem is I wasn't aware of this back then. So once I had all the elements in and it looked like shit, I just started pushing harder, pushing myself harder, pushing Ricardo harder, but I just didn't know how to solve this. Lesson 2. Push through the crappy versions of the film. Not only that, but if there's a task that you don't know how to fix, put a pin on it and move to a task that you do know how to fix. You cannot get stuck. You need to keep moving forward. Eventually, the answer is going to come to you. The last 2 weeks were the hardest. That's when Ricardo stopped picking up the phone. He had done everything I had asked him to do. If you look through the film, the amount of drawings that are in there really looks like it took months to do. He had done everything he could and was exhausted. I was exhausted as well. But here you have this first-time director, 19-year-old kid, pushing himself to the limit, barely sleeping in between renders. My best friend had reached his limit and I couldn't even stop to go check on him. I was just razor focused on this project. Lesson 3. You're the captain of a ship and you're responsible for the crew. I really don't take this lightly, and I'm not gonna tell you not to push the people around you hard. I demand a lot as a director and I put a lot of myself into my work and push everyone around me. But you need to realize that you're gonna have to live with the consequences of you pushing. If you're gonna ask people to sacrifice family time and sometimes their dreams to work on yours, you better make sure that you pick projects that make sense and that you're reasonable and respectful of your crew. Write down somewhere it's just a film. I find that keeps me grounded. 2 days before the deadline, we made it. I rendered the film, uploaded it to the Amazon Studios website. I had been awake for 3 days straight. As I'm recording this, I'm also rendering the project. It's like 4 a.m. and I want to record this to really explain to you what this is. Even if I don't win, it has really been a great journey. This is me in 2011, the day of the delivery. The most exhausted I had been up to that point in life. I can't help but to smile at this. You can tell how much it meant to me and the fact that at the end of the day, it had turned to something other than the money. It had turned into a validation of me as an artist, which it's silly, and over the years you get over that. But I see this and I think of all the projects where I've thought there is no light at the end of the tunnel, and how at the end of the day you find a way. The only thing that was left was to wait. We were supposed to hear from the jury at the end of the month. I wanted to show the film to everyone. It was such a big achievement for me, but at the same time nobody understood what it was. Everyone thought it was a work in progress, which it was, but also it wasn't. So I just didn't show it to anyone. The wait was agonizing, but at the end of the month, I got literally the $1 million email. And the result was second place. I had been selected as a semi-finalist. I went to the website and there was bronze medal to the right of my name. The funny thing is that it felt like a defeat. And in my eyes, it was a failure. This is ridiculous. Among almost 100 films, I made it to the semi-finalists on a $1 million competition when I was 19. And I was so stupid I couldn't even see it. All I could think was, I didn't win. And I thought nothing had changed. When in reality, I had grown more in those 6 weeks than in probably my entire career. I had done the unbelievable, climbed the mountain with Ricardo, and we delivered this film that wasn't even supposed to happen. Not only that, but now I had a film to show that I had directed. I had to take a break just to calm myself. I just couldn't get past the fact that we didn't have backgrounds and the drawings could use more work and that I couldn't have camera movements. stuff that had nothing to do with directing, and that were besides the point. What was the point of the film at the end of the day? It was to prove that the script was good and that the film was worth making. Lesson 4. Every film has a lesson. Every project has a lesson. You need to learn from each of your journeys. Doing some research for this project, this video, I went to the Wayback Machine on the Internet Archive and tried to find the website. I found the page for my film. It's all broken now, like there isn't Flash. The internet was weird back then. For the past 10 years, I've seen this film as a failure, and I really hadn't gone back. I scrolled down and saw the reviews, and I could barely hold my emotions. This thing that I thought was crap, people had loved the film. The thing is quirky. You need to get over the fact that the pace is all over the place and there aren't too many drawings. But the story is there and it's a decent one. I went back and watched the film, and I don't feel bad recommending it to you, but it meant the world to me that people had taken an hour, 20 minutes of their time to watch this thing, and that they had liked it. What can I tell you? Vanity, my favorite sin. Anyway, if you're interested, I've uploaded the full movie to my channel. The link is in the description. And hey, maybe you'll watch it and think it's crap. But let me let you in on a secret. The following year, after I had posted my test film, I saw the trailer for a live-action film for the Nevsky Prospect produced by Amazon. This was in 2012. My film came out in 2011. Now, I'm not accusing anyone of anything. Amazon was well in their right to do whatever they wanted with the film. And whether my film had anything to do with the live action getting greenlit is up for you to decide. And in my eyes, the test film was successful. By the way, talking about this Amazon Studio competition, I thought it was an amazing idea, way ahead of its time. The community was awesome. I'm really grateful at the opportunity of doing that. I feel that's how film school should be. You should spend 4 years just doing a film and pitching it to studios and see what sticks to the wall. Finally, I can tell you that in many ways, the best thing that could have happened was that I didn't win $1 million when I was 19. As anyone older could testify, that's a really bad idea. We don't know what would have happened, but I'm pretty happy with the turn of events. After that, I was able to get a few directing jobs and eventually went to study in Gobelins, the oldest animation school in the world. Later got into programming. Last year I finished an MBA. All things that probably wouldn't have happened had I entered right away into film madness. I'm still here doing films, long and short. The next episode of my web series is coming out by the other month. It might be out by the time you watch this if you're from the future. And if you're watching from the past, 19-year-old me. Lesson 5. Life goes on. And when you're creating stuff and doing what you love, there is no such thing as lost opportunities. My name is William Windmill. See you on the next one.